Welcome to How to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Historic Archetype, Burning Abyss.
Chapter 1.
Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about Burning Abyss and the historic relevance the archetype has had on the game. With that being said, let's get on with the rest of the video.
Chapter 2.
Alrighty then, as you can see in front of you, we're going to be talking about Burning Abyss. So, what is the history of Burning Abyss, and why do we treat Burning Abyss so highly in Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, let's put it this way. Burning Abyss came out in 2014. And from 2014 till 2020, that's right, 6 years of pure, unadulterated dominance of Burning Abyss. What do I mean by this? Usually, when an archetype is released in Yu Gi Oh!, the archetype in question usually gets banned, limited, and it usually has a year dominance, max 2 years, right? The An archetype being able to be in the top 10 standings for 6 years in a for even 2 years in a row is non-existent. But Burning Abyss came and changed everything. Burning Abyss is a TCG exclusive archetype, and since release has been in the top 10 in terms of standing. From 2014 to 2020, this is an archetype that has been in the top 10, whether in terms of meta, rogue, one of the top 10 decks of the time, which is impressive and stands testament to Burning Abyss's growing strength. And in 2020, Konami releasing a Link monster for Burning Abyss, trying to make the deck last another few years, but unfortunately it died midway to 2020, and it finally got power crapped. This goes to show just how well Burning Abyss is designed. In 2025, it has been given some indirect support from Duelist Advance, but I do not think it's going to take the game by storm anytime soon. Indeed, that is the case. This is the legacy of Burning Abyss. 6 years of absolute dominance in the competitive scene. It might not have been the best deck, but it was a top meta deck for 6 years straight. That showcases one of the strongest decks, strongest archetypes of all time, Burning Abyss. And what do I consider a strong archetype? A strong archetype is strong, not because it wins all the games, but it stands the test of time. In 6 years, Burning Abyss has still been in the competitive scene, which is impressive. In 6 years, this was still a deck that was winning regionals and YCSs. Again, this is still extremely impressive, given the fact that decks in the competitive scene of Yu-Gi-Oh get banned, limited, cards in archetypes get banned, limited, semi-limited, all manners of things just happen. And archetypes usually do not get to play for that long. T Elements being the strongest, archetype of strongest deck of all time, only had 1 year of not even have a year. I think it had what, 6 months of dominance. I mean, good God. Even T Elements didn't have that strong a length of time to be in the competitive scene. So that goes to show something. While T Elements may be the strongest deck of all time, Burning Abyss is the strongest archetype of all time. These two archetypes aren't the same. Burning Abyss isn't the same. And I think that's all I've got to say. Let's head on to the conclusion.
Final chapter.
Alrighty, so in the end, as I come to the conclusion, that's all we've got to say about Burning Abyss. Burning Abyss has sheer, unadulterated dominance for 6 years straight, from 2014 since in its initial release, to 2020. It has had pure unadulterated dominance. Sure, you can say that there's some cards that have come out that have been indirect support within these years, but that doesn't mean anything. Sure, archetypes before have also been in the same position when they get indirect support, but when they enter a ban list, they usually do not survive or live that long, and they usually have a year max, and they usually have 6 months max before they are killed. And most of the time, part of the reasons why decks usually have a 2 year, possibly even just a year maximum life cycle. They do not spend more than a year before they are ultimately killed or banned. In fact, an archetype even having a 2 year life cycle is very rare in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not something that happens very often. I know Sky Striker has had a life cycle that's been quite high, and that being an OCG exclusive archetype, that we can say is the strongest OCG archetype of all time, but even still, it doesn't beat Burning Abyss with a 6 year streak, while Sky Striker only has a 4 year streak. Leaving those numbers aside, facts of the matter is Burning Abyss has dominated. Burning Abyss has left a legacy in Yu-Gi-Oh! And in the game itself. And it has showcased that no matter what happens, no matter how some archetypes are, there are some archetypes that are just built different. And Burning Abyss is that archetype. It's built different and has been designed way ahead of its time, and it's a testament to that when Konami builds an archetype right, it can weather the storms and stand the test of time. Well, that's all I've got to say in this video. Tune in next time as I'll talk about more things on this channel. Hope to see you soon.
We come to the end of this video. So, as I like to say, you are one step closer to becoming a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master. My fate, right, is in your hands.